Today I seen a video that felt like it came straight out of a sci-fi horror movie where AI finally takes over and enslaves humanity, because what I saw was a man attempting to park his Tesla when instead of slowing down and coming to a stop like most cars do, it decided it wanted to go for a joyride, so it pushed down on the accelerator. It put the pedal to the metal, all the while locking up the brakes according to the driver inside, and then it started hurling down the street at insanely high speeds, topping out around 100 miles an hour, and it continued this for 2 miles until it started crashing into a bunch of stuff and eventually came to a stop, but sadly not before it killed 2 people and injured 3, including the driver. This is a horrible, terrifying situation, and there is CCTV footage of this entire event, and I'm going to show you a little bit of it. I'm of course not going to show you the whole thing because it does show people getting hit, injured, and eventually leading to their deaths. Just a super sad situation, but I want to show you this and talk about it a bit. It's so crazy and unbelievable that this is happening. It feels like I'm watching someone drive in GTA right now with how reckless this looks. And it's scary that this could potentially happen to any Tesla. Self-driving cars gaining a mind of their own and taking over control has been a very big irrational fear of mine ever since self-driving cars have came onto the consumer market. But I thought it was just a baseless fear, like being afraid that a piano is going to drop on your head from a skyscraper. I just thought it was one of those fears that has nothing to go on and probably will never happen, or the likelihood is so low that you shouldn't even worry about it. But this right here kind of just puts even more fear into me and makes me never want to get near an electric car because potentially something like this could happen. I have something to base my fears on after all. It's just so horrific thinking about it. Being inside of a multiple thousand-pound death machine with no control over the accelerator or the brake, and all you can do is try your best to use the steering wheel to dodge any civilians and cause as minimal damage as possible, and just hope you can come to as soft of a landing as possible. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying this is driver error and not machine error. And that's what I thought too. I thought the dude was either drunk or on drugs, or he had a death wish of sorts like Stan from that Eminem music video. But I'm going to read you this Reddit post here. I'm going to steal their words, and it's going to sum it up for you and give you all the information you need. More info. The driver, Mr. Zahn, who drives lorries for a living, lorries being semi-trucks, big 18-wheelers if you didn't know what that word meant like me, said when he was attempting to park his Tesla, the brake pedal went too hard to push and pressing P mode also didn't help. And that was a shock to me. When I searched this up, Teslas don't have a kill switch. A car that is solely built around a CPU, a computing system, doesn't have a kill switch. So if something could potentially ever go wrong, you wouldn't have any way to stop it, which we've seen right here. The car kept accelerating while Zahn desperately hitting the brakes, but to no avail. CCTV cameras caught the brake light, went on for a moment, yet the car didn't slow down. One of the front tires exploded after the car drove off for 1.2 kilometers, and it finally came to a stop after another 1.4 kilos, hitting multiple vehicles, killing 2 and injuring 3. The driver suffered several broken ribs but has been in stable condition. On the other hand, Tesla promptly claimed that the driver never hit the brakes, as they always do after such incidents. Tesla's out here pointing fingers at this dude saying, oh look, he's got the blood on his hands, it's his fault. He's playing Simpsons Hit and Run. It's not our fault, don't look at us. Our poor quality control shouldn't make us the prime suspect. Police confirmed Mr. Zahn was not under the influence of alcohol or drugs and are still investigating the case. So if we look at all the information presented to us, the dude driving the car drives semi-trucks, big trucks for a living, so you'd imagine he knows his way around a car. And then he's also not under the influence of drugs or alcohol whatsoever, so there's really no fingers pointing at him, saying that he is the reason for all of this happening. And what I do have to say about that is that the driver in this situation, I could easily see someone freaking out and pressing the wrong pedal after the brakes lock up for a second, and they could be pushing down on the accelerator thinking it's the brakes. That could very easily be the case. But I'm leaning towards that not being the case because this Mr. Zahn dude who was driving the car, he drives trucks, big trucks for a living, so I think he would be the most, reasonable person when it comes to driving a car. He's probably been in some sketchy situations before. in bigger, more dangerous cars. And this just doesn't seem like a simple mistake he would make of pressing the wrong pedal and accelerating instead of pressing the brake pedal. And I've seen some pretty brain dead takes on Twitter from NPCs trying to blame all of this on the driver when all the evidence points to it not being the driver. They were saying stuff like, well, why didn't he just pull off to the side of the road and stop the car? Or why didn't he just like pull off to the side and hit a tree and stop or whatever? And well, when you don't have control of a car, you know, it tends to happen that you can't exactly make it do what you want. I'm sure he didn't want to go 100 miles an hour down the road and crash into people and end up killing two. That's not exactly what I would call a typical day of driving down the road. So if the brake pedal isn't letting you push it down and the accelerator is just going up by itself, what else are you really to do besides just try to dodge everybody? And it's just still so insane to me, like I mentioned earlier in the video, that Teslas don't have a kill switch. A car that is ran on a computer system should have a kill switch that you can turn the car off, shut everything off at a moment's notice if something is even slightly going wrong. This whole situation could have been easily avoided if there was a kill switch. The guy, when he noticed it was taking off and getting a mind of its own or whatever, HAL 9000 was trying to kill him, he could have just pressed shut down, you know, kill switch. Problem solved. But that just relates back to Tesla's poor quality control and just how poorly put together these cars really are. Anyways, I forgot to show this. This is a picture of the aftermath of the car. It's honestly a miracle that the driver got off with as little injuries as he did. And you know that that driver has to be feeling the most insane amount of guilt right now. I feel so horrible for him for being in this situation, and it seems like he's not at fault here whatsoever, and his whole life just probably got ruined because of this. It's just such a shitty situation to be in. Something like this should never even be able to happen. And one more thing is that the initial post of this video got taken down, the one I was going to talk about. I had to find a re-upload because this is what the page says that I had pulled up. It says, this page doesn't exist. Try searching for something else. So this right here is a re-upload. And that's, I'm not trying to point any fingers, I'm not trying to place the blame, wag my finger and say he did it, but hey, kinda fishy. The man that owns Twitter owns Tesla and that post got taken down? I'm not saying you did it, but I'm saying there might be some of your fingerprints at the crime scene. And I also hope that the families of the two people who were killed in this tragic event are able to get closure. And then I also hope that the 3 people who were injured are able to have speedy recoveries. And as for Tesla, I hope they get what's coming to them. I hope we get a solid conclusion to this story and figure out what happened once and for all. We get to the bottom of this mystery. But like I said, all signs are pointing to this being Tesla's issue and not the driver's fault whatsoever. And I would be absolutely surprised if it came out that it actually was the driver's fault that this happened. But anyways, until we get some updates, I'll see you in the next one.